James Lynch here for MiddleEasy. Happy to be joined by UFC heavyweight Curtis Blaydes, who will be taking on Jairzinho Rozenstruik at UFC 266 on September 25th. Curtis, how's it going, man?
I'm doing good, man. How about yourself?
Doing awesome. Before we get into your fight, just got to remind people out there to hit the like button, hit the subscribe button on this video. And also, I wanted to start first with, we just had the UFC card on the weekend. Of course, everyone's been talking about this Khalil Roundtree and Modestas Bukauskas kick that ended the fight. I know you had some thoughts on that. I know there's a lot of people who are kind of going back and forth on the whole topic of sidekicks to the knee. Where do you stand on this, just for people who might not understand?
I know it's a legal move. It's not a dirty move. I'm not saying Khalil's a dirty fighter. He's not the only one that uses it either. It's just he had the most he had the scariest effect when using it. It's not a move I would use. It's not a move or a technique I would even drill. Because how are you supposed to master a technique if you don't use it in sparring? But that's not a move I'd want to risk using in sparring because I don't want to injure one of my partners.
Is that what's sort of the sentiment at the gym with some of the other fighters you've talked to? Because I know it seems like people are sort of split on it, and I see both sides of it, right? Like, who knows how long Modestas is going to be out, but at the same time, the job is to, defeat your opponent by any means necessary. Yeah. So what's sort of the vibe you're getting from the people that you train with?
The gym's divided. we've actually had a few debates, and there are guys who are like, hey, it's you sign the contract, the referee explains the rules to you in the back room, you know what you're getting into, you should be defending yourself at all times. Then there are other guys on the other end of the spectrum, like that's just not a move I wanna use. Like, I don't blame anyone for using that move, but I'm just not going to use it because I would just hate. I want to win, but do I want to win bad enough to potentially destroy contemporary's potential? Like, I don't want to do that. I don't want that on my conscience. And I would hope that my opponent would have enough respect for me because I don't want that. I don't want my knee going out the back, being blown out. I don't want that. So it's the way I feel about it is if you're going to use it, like, be careful. I don't know how else to say it. Just be careful. Like, I know you want to win, but it's not worth destroying. It's just like in the NFL. They're trying to break each other. They're trying to blow each other out and all that. But if I don't know if you watch football, but if an offensive lineman and a defensive lineman are engaged in a blocking exchange, it's kind of pound to pound for another offensive lineman to they call it a cut block when you go at the guy's knees. That's like frowned upon. Like, it's not illegal, but it's just that's not what we do. We don't want to injure. We want to win. We don't want to injure. Mm-hmm. That's just, I don't know. That's how I view it. Like, it's a legal move, but it's a risky move, and it's just not worth it.
No, I agree. And believe it or not, we're not that sheltered here in Canada. I do watch NFL football. We got Seattle down the road here, about 3 hours. But I get what you mean. And that is a very good comparison as well. It's like there's a way to win the game. There's a way to, do certain things without it being too brutal. So I see both sides of it, not taking any sides here. I do see sort of both ends of everything, but we'll see what happens sort of going forward. If this is something we're going to see more of, I know some other fighters use it, but we'll sort of see what happens there. Switching gears a bit. Last time we spoke actually was when they announced the interim heavyweight title fight between Ciryl Gane and Derrick Lewis. That fight has since happened. Ciryl Gane finishing Derrick Lewis. Were you expecting that type of performance from Ciryl Gane? Or were you surprised he was able to put Lewis away the way he did?
No, I did expect that performance. That's how he fought that fight. Is how he just fought all the fights that I've watched in the UFC. He's always on the outside, picking, poking, heaps, inside leg kicks, just touching, and then he knew that Derrick, he didn't want to play that game. He wanted to bring him into a barroom brawl type of exchange. And he did a good job of avoiding those exchanges. I think he had one, but he had his high elbows up, so he wasn't in any real like danger. And yeah, I expected the finish. I knew each round Derrick would slow down and the opportunities to find that finishing attack would present itself. And yeah, I'm not surprised.
And do you think that was the right call doing an interim title, or do you feel like they could have waited a little bit and let Francis defend his title?
I mean, for Francis, it really doesn't matter. He still has the belt, and the interim title to me has always been like, yeah, you have an interim title, but all it really means is you get the first title. You get to go after the guy with the real belt. You
Mm-hmm.
get the first. You're first in line. That's all it really means to me. So I don't think it was a major like big deal. Like it was an interim title and title only. Like I
Mm-hmm.
don't view Ciryl as the undisputed heavyweight champion. I just view him as the number one contender.
Do you think Gane is worthy of all the praise he's been getting about people saying he's sort of the new breed
Yeah.
and all that stuff? Like what are your thoughts on that? Because that's a lot of people were saying that after the win.
No, yeah, he's legit. He fights. He has skill. He's not just out there hawking. He's setting up stuff with the feints and the jabs and the poking and the prod. I like his game. I like how he fights. I do believe that's like the future. Like heavyweights are going to get faster. They're going to start to lean out, and they're going to become more well-rounded. That's just how sports go. Like evolution, it always happens, and I think we're just witnessing the like beginning of a new era of heavyweights. I think it began a few years ago with guys like Stipe. Like he's one of the most well-rounded fighters. Like regardless of divisions, he's one of the most well-rounded fighters I've been able to watch. And I think Ciryl Gane's just like the next step. And obviously, I put myself in that same category. I believe I'm one of the most well-rounded heavyweights in the division, and that's just where the division's headed. You're going to have to be athletic. You're not going to be able to be like a Mark Hunt. Like mad respect for Mark Hunt, but I don't think you're going to be able to be 5'11" and just have a nasty right hand. You're going to have to bring a lot more prerequisites.
And how do you think Gane will do against Ngannou, assuming that is the next fight? I would think they're going to do that, but with
I
John
have
Jones, you
no
never know,
idea
right?
because they used to spar, and I've watched a few videos of them sparring. Obviously, it wasn't like they weren't going hard, but they used to spar, and we don't get to watch all the rounds. So who knows how those rounds used to go? Who knows who was getting the best of who? But if I were a betting man, I bet on Gane. I'm always gonna pick technique over just raw power, and Ngannou has a lot of raw power. He hits harder than anyone in the division. Harder than me, harder than Derrick, harder than Mark, most likely harder than Gane. But is he the most skilled in the division? No. I think he knows that, obviously. I think everyone knows that. That's not an argument. That's not up for debate. And I'm always going to pick the more skilled guy over the guy with just raw power.
And kind of stating the obvious here, but if they do end up fighting next, I imagine you'll be rooting for Ciryl Gane, because then that, chances of you fighting for a title will probably be better than if Francis still holds the title, right?
Well, yeah. For me, yeah, that works best for my future projections. But even if Ngannou wins, it's not like I'm like, oh, well, I guess I should just retire now because I'm never going to get a title shot. I'm still going to be here. I'm still going to be waiting at the door. And eventually, I'm going to just keep knocking on the door, and they'll have to open up eventually.
Okay, last thing on Ciryl Gane, I just have to bring this up because people have been mentioning this. Do you think he looks like Anthony Joshua a little bit, the boxer?
Yeah, he does. I've heard that also. I'm sure they've both heard of it. They've both probably. It would be funny if they did like a picture together, but didn't tell us who was who and just posted it and just allowed us to decide. Because they do look a lot alike.
Yeah, I think what they should do is just go to like a boxing event and just Ciryl should just pretend to be Anthony Joshua and see if people like know the difference. That would be that would be funny. Someone should film that. There's a content idea right there. I need to get my 10%. But back to you. Obviously, big fight with Jairzinho. We talked right when the fight was announced. How has camp gone sort of leading into this? Anything different, or has it been primarily the same?
No, it's been primarily the same. I've been working with the same guys. I'm still here with Elevation. Alistair, he's been back for the last few weeks, so I've gotten some rounds in with him. Yeah, everything's going smooth. Conditioning going great. Sparring rounds, jiu-jitsu practices. I'm right on track to peak fight week. So yeah, I feel good.
And also, I imagine, you have a couple new bodies in there, relatively new. Mo Usman's there. I know Razak Al Hassan's been training with you guys as well. Like, who are some of the new guys that have been in the gym that you've had a chance to work with? Newish, I should say.
Well, those are both the guys I've been working with. I know there's been an influx of we've gotten 15 new guys in the gym, but majority of them are smaller guys, and we still have our practices even split up. Like half the gym's allowed to go, and then the other half goes. I work with the bigger guys, so I haven't really been able to meet a lot of the new smaller guys. But yeah, I've been going with Razak. He hasn't been here obviously because he just won his fight, but prior to that, we got some good rounds in. Like you said, Usman's brother, Muhammad, been getting good rounds in with him. He fights for the PFL, and he's been growing a lot, and the more growth he has, the better for me. So we've been getting some great rounds in. But yeah, those are really the only two new guys I've had interactions with.
I know last time we spoke, you'd mentioned that I know you were in touch with Dominic Reyes. I think you mentioned last time you might be moving out to Vegas. I saw him at the fights actually there with Sam Alvey. Have you spoken to him recently? Because I know that's someone you've trained with in the past.
Yeah, he has moved to Vegas, and we do intend on getting some work together, but obviously not this camp.
Yeah,
but
too close to
in the future. Yeah, and he's going to be at my my wedding in November. So we'll get to hang out and we'll speak about all that.
Hold on a second. I didn't know you're getting married in November. How's all that going? That could be stressful sometimes. You leave that up to your fiance.
Yeah, I'm not. She's all
the same way. I was the same way.
I'm not putting any energy into it because all my energy is going into practice and hanging out with my daughter. But yeah, the wedding is November 11th. It'll be here in Colorado. It's at a winery, and yeah, he'll be there, and basically half of the guys I work out with, they'll be there, and I'm excited. It's going to be a eventful fall because we got the fight, and then my fiance, her birthday's a month after the fight, and then a few weeks after that, we have the wedding, and then we have the holidays. So it's going to be a lot
of good stuff coming up.
Yeah,
that's great. Any fighters in your wedding party, like your best man or anything like that, or is it all like other just friends you grew up with?
Austin,
Austin Hubbard, nice.
Yeah,
I could see that. He seems like he'd be good to help out with that stuff. I guess you're not doing a bachelor party, right? Because you got the fight going on.
Yeah, I mean, even if I didn't have the fight, I'm not really into strippers. I don't like giving strippers my money, so we're not doing that.
We all don't, trust me. Yeah, no, that makes sense for sure. Back to the fight. Who's going to be in your corner for this one? Same corner as usual?
We're actually making a slight change. Instead of Austin, I'm bringing the light heavyweight I work with a lot, Zach Ponga. He's going to be in my corner because that way I have a body to drill with. I feel bad forcing my coaches to be my drill partners because they're getting older and I don't want to break them.
Right.
So we're bringing
you're bringing Zach in.
Yeah, but Austin, he'll be there, just not in the corner. He'll be there though.
Makes sense. How's this fight playing out? How do you envision the fight unfolding coming up here at UFC 266?
I envision it almost like the last one, except without me getting KO'd. I feel like I move better than he does. I'm more dynamic. I'm more explosive. My footwork is going to be the key to my victory. I'm going to use my footwork to dance on them, to make them miss, to make them tired, and then eventually, when his hips are open, find the takedown and ground and pound.
Where does a win put you? Because like we sort of talked about earlier, you're kind of in this weird spot where, you have the losses to Ngannou. As long as he's champion, I don't know if you'll end up, getting a shot there. Is there not looking past Jairzinho Rozenstruik? And I want to be very careful about accenting this because people are always like, you're looking past your opponent. But is there an opponent out there that excites you as a matchup? Because you've pretty much beat everyone else in the division outside of Lewis and Ngannou.
I mean, yeah, it'd have to be someone ranked above me, and if Ngannou beats Gane, it won't be Gane. So maybe I get the loser, or maybe I get Gane regardless, or who knows what's going on with Stipe? I don't know.
I was going to ask you about that. You and Stipe have the same management. You nudging any shoulders, trying to get that fight just in case. Because I don't know. I know Stipe probably thinks he's going to get the winner of the fight, but then you've got Jon Jones in the equation. You're kind of, to be honest, you're in an interesting situation because nothing's really set in stone as far as what's next for the winner of Ngannou and Gane, in my opinion.
It's been like this for years, though.
That's true.
The division. I'm used to this. I'm used to we don't know what's next. I know. That's how my whole career's been. Ever since I beat Alistair, it's been pretty much I've been at the brink, on the cusp, and it's just always been a bit of a log jam. And it's a log jam. So we'll just have to wait and see what happens.
Where do you think Stipe does fit in the picture? Do you think he'll get the winner of that fight, or do you think they might try and get him to fight Jon Jones? What do you think is going to happen with
I think he should get the winner of the fight, but you never know with the UFC. It's really about what makes the most money. So it could be him versus Jon, or it could be Jon. It's impossible. It's impossible. There's an alternate reality where all of these things happen. There's an alternate reality where I fight Jon Jones. There's an alternate reality where Jon fights the winner of Gane and Ngannou. There's an alternate reality where it's Stipe. There's so many variations and ways that could go. It's not worth the mental energy.
I hear you. How many more fights do you have left on your UFC contract? Do you know?
I just got a new one. I'm on a 4-fight deal.
Awesome. When did you just sign that? Ahead of this fight?
I did it in the May.
Okay, but it was after the Lewis fight, right? Yeah. Okay.
That was the last one on my last deal.
Oh, yeah. Good. Congrats, man. I didn't know that. So that's great. So it must feel good going into this fight, having a new contract. You're not having to worry about, will they sign me? Because I know Austin's going through that right now, right? With his contract.
Yeah. And it is rough because you don't know.
Yeah.
You hope, but you don't know.
Yeah. No, that's good to see you're back there. We haven't talked also since Jake Paul and Tyron Woodley took place. Did you watch the fight, Curtis? I got to know.
No, absolutely not.
What did you? I'm sure you caught the highlights though. What did you think of the fight?
Tyron looked aggressive, but not as aggressive as I would have liked against a YouTuber. I thought, especially with the rounds being boxing rounds, only for 3 minutes, I would expect him to just go out there for the first, 4 or 5 rounds, just looking to hunt him down and force him to engage in those brawling exchanges. But it didn't seem like he was. It seemed like he was content just to pressure, but not to actually throw strikes, which sounds like Woodley in MMA. But you would think against a YouTuber, he would just be a lot more aggressive. So.
One judge gave the fight to Woodley. Did you agree with that? Do you think he should have got the nod, or did you have Jake Paul winning?
I don't know because I didn't watch enough of it.
Gotcha. So you just sort of caught the highlights and actually watched the full fight? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I just watched the highlights. I am not watching that. That is not high-level combat sports, and I'm not watching it.
Do you think Woodley should get a rematch? Do you think that's what they're going to end up doing? Apparently he had to get a tattoo. Did you see all this? I mean, this is kind of crazy, right? Everything that's going on.
This is like in the sports spectrum, I'm over here with like ESPN and the NFL and like like real respectable sports like affiliates.
I
And
appreciate
then
that. Put that on my resume.
there's this other end of the spectrum with like bare knuckle boxing, and then this YouTuber versus former athletes and all that like nonsense. I'm not on that end of the spectrum. I'm way over here, so I don't even pay attention to what's happening over there.
Okay, fair enough.
I wasn't interested in the Askren fight either. I didn't watch that one either, even though that was fast. I watched the highlight.
Well, yeah, you could watch the highlight. It was like, it wasn't long. It was like 30 seconds anyways. I can't remember how long it was. Just one more thing that people are sort of talking about right now. Khabib Nurmagomedov getting a lot of flack right now because he says that he doesn't see a place for ring card girls in MMA. I see both sides of it, but we live in a different climate than we did 10 years ago. What's your take on ring card girls? Do you think they do you think they're necessary, or what's sort of your take on what Khabib said?
They're not a necessity, but I get why they're there. Like, they have their place. They add eyes. Like, there are guys who only watch the fights just to watch ring girls. I'm not one of those. I like to watch the fights, and I would still enjoy the fights even without ring girls. But I get why they're there, and I don't have a problem with them being there. Like, they've been there my whole MMA career, even going back to the regionals. They were ring girls. They didn't look as nice as the UFC ring girls, but there's always been ring girls, and I don't have a problem with it. But I could see how if people wanted to get rid of them, it wouldn't hurt the sport. I don't think. I think the sport would continue because, like, do you care about NFL
cheerleaders? Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, doesn't really matter.
I don't.
Yeah,
I know they exist. I know they're there. I know they're getting paid, but does it bother me much? No, it's just always been there. So.
And speaking of football, how do you think the Bears are going to do this season? Are you optimistic?
I'm not. For me, it's not about wins. It's about growth. Like, if we lose all of our games, I know we're not going to lose all our games, but if we lose all of our games, as long as the rookie we drafted, Justin Fields, as long as he's like growing and getting better, it's not about this year. It's about like down the road. I want us to be good for a decade. I know that begins. You have to build the foundation for that right now. So that's what I'm worried about. And
last question, got anywhere picked for your honeymoon, or are you going to figure that out after the fight and after the wedding?
We wanted to go to Japan, but Japan's under lockdown, so.
Interesting. How come? Why just Japan specifically?
It was a place that we both had interest in. Like, it wasn't a place that I just wanted or she just wanted. It was a place we could both. I wanted to go just for the historical aspect. Like, I'm big into anime. I'd like to see some anime museums, and I've always been fascinated by Japanese culture. And she likes the food. She likes the
there's a lot of different. Yeah, it's a totally different culture. And maybe you could go head over to the Saitama Super Arena where they used to do Pride, and I think they do Ryzen right now, right? So there you go.
Oh, that's still there. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I didn't know. Yeah.
So there you go.
That would be dope. But yeah, we'll have to do a belated one. It won't be this year. We might do it over like in June or July. We might just have to wait, which isn't a big deal.
Tell me about it. I can't even go to the U.S. right now. This damn travel restrictions. I haven't been in the U.S. since 2019, so it's crazy. And I live 5 minutes from the border, so.
Dang,
that sucks. So there we go. Curtis, thanks so much for doing this. And we went way over time, but we covered a lot of cool topics here. Anyone you want to thank? Any sponsors? Any social media? I'll give you the last word.
Well, as always, you guys can find me on social media at RazorBlades265 on Instagram and Twitter, and I have my apparel. I have a website, www.teamblades.com. We have an Instagram, we have a Facebook, and there is an online website where you can find and purchase hoodies, shirts, hats, even socks. We even have socks with this on.
There you
The
go.
logo.
Yeah, it's a cool logo. It's like a Mortal Kombat type logo too. Kind of looks cool.
Yeah. So, and I'd always like to give a shout out to Elevation. I appreciate everyone there. Everyone who's helped me prepare for this fight. My coaches, my sparring partners, and my management, Ainer Sports. I'd like to give a shout out to them for helping me get a new con
Yeah, 4-fight deal. That's great.
and yeah, that's what I wanted, and they got it. So happy, and I guess that's it. Yeah.